Hello, and thank you for joining me today with my session on supporting success at post-16. So I want to take this opportunity to share with you some practical strategies that we've been implementing to improve achievement at Key Stage 5, and we've been using that through a system of support cycles and data-driven information. So my name is Briony de-Wit, and I'm Strategic Lead for Key Stage 5 at Kingsthorpe College. I've previously held a number of different roles, including Head of Humanities and Head of Geography in schools in Northampton. So this outlines my current thinking on achievement in post-16 at the moment. So we always have achievement at the heart of everything that we're doing, and it is a focus for all staff, no matter their position. So currently we're starting up with curriculum plans. Now the college has done a lot of work with staff and making sure that curriculum plans are fit for purpose, that they're challenging, robust, that they are fluid and they make sense. So our heart of achievement has to be ensuring that the curriculum is appropriate, is challenging and meets the needs of all of our students. So the thoughts are linking to the data. So when we've got our data calls, we're ensuring that we've got the right data at the right time and that it's useful data. There's no point having lots of data calls whereby you're struggling with the volume of data and the turnaround time takes too long, and therefore the window of opportunity to make an improvement or to have an impact is gone. So we're then making sure that our data systems are clear, are well communicated, and that we understand the links to our curriculum. And from that data, the expectation is that there's a diagnostic assessment and that the data is looked at on an item by item basis and as is appropriate to each subject. We're not saying it has to fit one has to fit for all subject areas. So ensuring that we look at our data in a forensic way and we look for patterns, we look for individual students that may be struggling and identify what it is that they're struggling on. We can't move students forward if we're just having a blanket approach of improvement and achievement, and we can't think about how to help them individually. So it's really vital that that diagnostic assessment of individual subject areas takes place and that we understand what the data is showing us and how we can then best support those students. So we then recently, over the last year and a half, started to introduce our support cycle. So I will move on to that in a bit more detail in a moment, but the idea being that we've got curriculum plans, we've had a look at our data, and we've had a look at it at the lowest level where we can identify key patterns or key areas for development. The support cycle then kicks into place and we see a scholarship growth in all areas of our students. So our guiding principles are a real big shift from our negative language. There was always a cause for concern document, and there was a negative connotation with these students that were flagged up via the data calls, and we had to think really carefully as teachers as to how we would go about improving those students' outcomes. So our guiding principles have to be success and achievement. How can we make sure our students at KC are successful, not only academically, but in a holistic viewpoint, and that ultimately they're achieving? We want to best support them. Our students are ever more aspirational. They know where they want to go. They've got really clear goals, and it's our job principally to improve their opportunities and make sure that our curriculums are fit for purpose to meet the outcomes that those students are capable of achieving. And the focus with our support cycle system, like I said, is to be positive, but we want to give them as many opportunities as possible to succeed in the wider community in life after KC. So we want to use this opportunity to have professional conversations with these students and allowing them to understand how those are conducted and the purpose of them and the usefulness of these professional conversations with differing members of staff. And that links on to my fourth point, in that we need to make sure that students are accountable for their outcomes themselves and that they understand what work they have to put in order to get the outcomes that they deserve. Linking to this cycle in terms of improving Key Stage 5 achievement is also making sure there's accountability for subject areas and staff. We want to make sure there's an improvement in the quality of education and that we're using all opportunities to share good practice. Now, like I said previously, we had a situation where it was a cause for concern document. What's the strategy that you're going to improve? What's the barriers that we need to work on? and that would be reviewed at the end of a term, for example, which was a really good starting point. But ultimately, we're not holding anyone to account in any detail, and we needed to make sure that we were tailoring our support for individual students to make sure that they could succeed. So we started to research and have some professional conversations ourselves in and around Horseforce Quadrant, with some work on from Pixel, along with a variety of other different sources. And we kind of started to hone in on Horseforce Quadrant, so having a look at progress and effort. But we felt that this was quite unfriendly terminology to the students and staff, and we wanted to make sure that we were putting meat onto these bones and making sure we understood what each quadrant was to deliver and the expected outcomes that these quadrants might have if we were to implement this within the college. So this is the overview for our support cycle, and like I mentioned, there's been a cultural shift from the negative connotations of you can't do this, of cause for concern, to being more positive and aspirational. We want our students to succeed and be respectful of what they want and how they need to get there, so we need to encourage that positivity. So after each data cycle, we review it, we quality assure it, and we spend the time in the 6 to 8 weeks following to use as a support cycle programme. So within that time, we have 4 different groups. We have cultural capital, and these students are high progress and high effort. So linking back to our Horseforce Quadrant, we look at the ratio between the two. And we're really lucky at KC to have a dedicated post-16 pastoral coordinator and cultural capital lead. And so for our cultural capital group, they've been having experiences and seminar style meetings that provide them with conversation pieces outside of KC and really allow them to engage in the conversations that they will be expected to be part of in life. And you can see from here that going up the support levels, we've termed them class, pastoral, post-16 and SLT. These are more useful, more friendly language for all staff involved and the students themselves. So the overall aim is to make sure that student attitude and progress improves. We want them to come down the support levels, or if not, be not part of any support level come the next data call. And you can see that all these students in levels 1 to 3 will have a mentor assigned to them, and students in level 2 and level 3 will have 3 mentor meetings during that time slot in which they will discuss their subject-based targets, and they will be given other opportunities that they might need, so in-house support such as metacognition, organisation, independence, review of timetable, and anything else that they might need as well. So the benefits from moving from this cause for concern culture to now a supportive, aspirational one is definitely had an impact on the students, but this data-driven aspect and making sure that it's tailored to the students, that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach, has been really useful. We are sharing data much more regularly and we're involving many more stakeholders. So you can see on the slide here, there's a pupil on a page which we use. So after each data call, we will then collate a pupil on a page, and it has any background information that is ever useful if you're a mentor. So it's got information on lateness or attendance or behaviour points, as well as the academic data of targets, working at grades, and any attitude to learning information that we might need. It's really important for us at KC that we understand the holistic view of each student, and we make sure we understand and respect and care for them, and then only going to be successful if we understand the whole student. So this pupil on the page is really useful because we can update our targets for each subject that provides them for us, and we can record our mentor meetings. It's then saved as a linked document on Sims, and anyone who has any connections with the students, so tutors and staff members, have access to that in updated form. So these stakeholders really are having a key approach to helping the students. It's a really appropriate timescale, so we're making sure that it's a 6 to 8 week programme. We all know that revising all year round loses its impact and doesn't have that desired effect, and it's exactly the same when we're thinking about mentoring. What can we do in a really short space of time to help change that mindset and inspire these students to improve in those subject areas that they may be finding more difficult? The professional conversations for both staff and students have been really lovely to be a part of, actually. These students are getting the opportunity to understand what it's like to have appraisals and understand how they can improve and have a professional conversation, and staff members are getting a lot out of that as well. One element I'm really proud of is that we've managed to carry this on over lockdown, and the staff development with having the conversations with the student, understanding that student and having an impact on their progress is really key. So staff have been actually privy to informal student voice and understanding, perhaps learning and teaching that could be shared across the college itself. So the benefits from this change, this more positive mindset, has been definitely a positive outcome for the students and staff involved. So what's the impact been? So I'm looking at this from two perspectives. So we surveyed them at the beginning of this process and towards the end, and our students have felt that the mentor meetings have provided stretch and challenge, that the targets have been appropriate and they understand what those targets are for, the purpose of those targets. And 80% of these students have felt like the actions have made a difference to their study and their organisation after the mentor sessions. And you can see here just a few responses that I've selected in terms of giving me motivation, listened attentively. It's giving those students that personalised viewpoint, someone's engaging with them, and ultimately it is an academic mentor meeting, but we do provide that support in whatever areas that they might need to be successful. So from the staff perspective, we were really aware that we didn't want to put too much onto staff, and we didn't want to make it too timely or too time consuming, I suppose. But 80% of the staff said that students engaged really strongly with the support cycle, and it was a pleasure to have the time to put into them. And we have worked really well within the tutor team, where we've freed up time and supported other members of staff and made it work within the time that we do have available to us with the students. And 100% of the responses thought the resources and training was straightforward and easy to use. And that's a real credit as well. The team have been fantastic. We have managed to keep this up during lockdown, and we've moved to 100% remote mentor meetings and support with the students. So I'm really proud of what we've managed to achieve in really challenging situations. So you can see some of the responses up there as well in terms of what staff have felt like the process has given for them and for the students. So the structure, the time, the progress of the students has been really positively impacted. So we ourselves have also been having a lot of professional conversations and reflecting on the cycle process and the impact that it's had. And our next steps really are to increase parental engagement. Whilst we sent out the communication at the beginning of the process and towards the end of the process, we really want to think about how else can we involve them in their students' academic excellence, and thinking about the support that they could offer as well. Like I said, we've been really lucky to have continued this process over lockdown really successfully via Teams. So I want to think about how we could potentially carry on our mentor meetings via Teams. It worked really well in terms of not being interrupted by having a dedicated time slot that was blocked out. And so we need to think and reflect on how we can perhaps improve technology and utilise the benefits of it moving forward. I'd like to improve our mentor training. I'd like to widen the net. We've currently just used our post-16 and tutor team to act as mentors and to provide the support for our students on our support cycle. But it would be really nice to gain the help from other staff members and to utilise their skills and knowledge that they might have to widen the net as well. And we'd like to increase our collaboration. We want to make sure that we are improving in subject areas, and we are providing specialised support maybe for the more practical subjects. And actually we can't be subject specialists in absolutely everything. I can't know everything inside out. So it's about working collaboratively with those staff members to make sure we can make an improvement for our students. So I'd just like to thank you for watching, and if you would like any further information, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.